from my side. I understand we are all facing a very difficult time. We are passing through a very distressed time rather, and very anxious moments throughout the day. And this presentation, basically, I purposefully kept a very simple topic, which is not at all difficult, which is our day-to-day practice topic. So it's basically, we will discuss the basic technical interpretation of the chest X-ray. Now, discussing the chest X-ray, if you go in the YouTube or if you search the net, there are a number of presentations on the interpretation of chest X-ray. And this is impossible to discuss the whole aspects in half an hour time frame. So basically what I have intended to do is to discuss the basic technical aspects and how to, before going into the diseases part, like whether there is a consolidation or whether there is a collapse or there is an air bronchogram or there is a tumor, nodule, miliary shadows, etc., etc. What are the basic things we should understand and we should see whenever we are sitting to interpret a chest X-ray? And the first and very basic thing or necessity for interpretation of a chest X-ray is a view box. Without a view box, it is a common practice for the practitioners to see the X-ray, hold the X-ray above the head against a light and to interpret, which is completely an incorrect practice, and 90 out of 100 cases, you will make mistake if you like to see the X-ray in that way. So regarding the interpretation, on the left hand side, there is a picture of a lady. I do not know whether she is old or young, but if you show this picture to 100 persons, then 50% will see it is an old lady and 50% will see a younger woman. Similarly, if you look at this right hand side, the photograph, there are intersection of some straight lines. But our mind tends to frame a circle at the intersection of the straight lines, which is not existent. So there are a lot of image subjectivity and bias are there whenever we are looking at many of the pictures. Chest X-ray is one of them. It is basically a three-dimensional thing which is being compressed into a two-dimensional picture. So we must be very disciplined and methodical to avoid these all image subjectivity and bias, because we also, all the physicians, all of us, we suffer from a bias. So we should leave the bias before interpretation of the chest X-ray, because whenever we are seeing a chest X-ray of a child who is having a fast breathing and cough and fever, we tend to interpret in the light of pneumonia or something else. But we often forget that there can be an associated foreign body as well. So we must leave the bias before looking at the X-ray. Now stare at the X in the center. If you stare at the X in the center, you cannot see the red X's on the corner of the picture. So note how you cannot see the letters in the corner unless you are looking at it directly. And similarly, unless the letter you are trying to read is hitting your fovea of the retina, you cannot see that area very clearly. That is why just gazing at the X-ray will not give you the right opportunity to interpret. What we should do, we should see the X-ray zone by zone, different parts by parts, and in a very disciplined way. There are a lot of ways where you can make yourself disciplined, like inside out, first airway, then the bones, then the heart, then the diaphragm, ABCD, mnemonics. There are a lot of things you will get in the net or in different books. But we need to be disciplined and we need to see all the features of including the subcutaneous tissue and the abdominal part also, because that also can give you a lot of informations. Now, what are the views? First, the views. What are the views of a chest X-ray? Basically, we are interested in three views. One is your frontal view, the other is your lateral view, and third is your decubitus view. The frontal view, basically, we talk about our PA or posterior anterior and AP, anterior posterior. These two combined are known as the frontal view. Lateral view, yes, this is a lateral view when the cassette is on the side of the chest and the beam is from the other side. And normally or customarily, we take the left lateral. And the decubitus is the patient is lying side on the bed. The beam is from above and the cassette is on the below the side end of the chest. And this is normally we do a decubitus X-ray to see layering of fluid when there is small amount of fluid which is undetected in PA film and or see any trapped air. But most commonly we go through the frontal view and the lateral views. There are many other views as well, like lordotic view, oblique view, but this is very specific views which are ordered in a very specific situation. It is difficult to interpret, and it is better to leave to the radiologist to interpret those views, and it is beyond the purview of discussion in the today's context. So basically, we are interested with PA, AP, lateral, and decubitus view. Now, in the PA view, normally you think what we do, we embrace the cassette. That's why the scapula is periphery of the thorax. That is, it is not interfering on the lung field. But in AP view, it is seen over the lung field because the scapula is not widened or away from the cassette of the X-ray. So seen over the lung fields. Clavicles, normally we see on the project over the lung fields in case of PA view, but in AP view, they are over the apex. They are over the apex in AP view. And you can see it is over the apex of the chest. And the ribs, here you can see this is a posterior of the ribs, which becomes prominent. But here, this is the anterior, in the PA view, you can see the posterior ribs which are more prominent. Whereas in AP view, you can see that these are the anterior end of the ribs. Naturally, the beam is from the front, so the anterior ribs will be more distinct. Well, if you see the X-ray of a person in a PA and AP almost in the same time, you will see there are remarkable differences. It's a PA film on the left compared to the AP supine on the right. In the PA, the right border of the heart, nothing is there. But in the AP, you can see the heart is enlarged and widening of the mediastinum also you can see. And whenever possible, the patient should be imaged in an upright PA position. Otherwise, there will be enlarged heart because the beam is closer to the heart. So the heart will be magnified, the mediastinum will be magnified, and it looks like there is a cardiomegaly. So we use the AP view in children who are extremely sick, who cannot stand or cannot sit even, or in case of neonates, we use this AP view. But customarily, the view for the chest X-ray should be taken in a PA format. There are these AP and lateral views, they are complementary. Like, see the photograph in the above, it is a lateral view, and it is showing the man is making a very indecent posturing or gesture, indecent gesture. But if you see the PA view, this is a very normal thing. So they are complementary. Something which we can see in the PA can be missed in the lateral, and sometimes the PA view will not tell you the entire story. So here we should take the help of the lateral view. Similarly, here the PA and lateral are showing absolutely different perspective. Here on the left hand side, on the lateral view, see, it looks like the cub's head is completely within the jaw of the mother. But on the AP view, you can see the head is outside the jaw. So Lateral film is not the first view that we should see. So it is lateral or later all. So when PA is not giving the complete information, when you need additional information beyond the PA view, then you take the lateral. Only 3 to 5% cases, the lateral view really helps. And as our body is thicker from side to side, the exposure is 3 times greater than the frontal view. Useful for viewing the retrosternal and retrocardiac space. Customary view is left lateral, but basically right lateral and left lateral, they make the almost a similar picture, but hardly any difference. And sometimes really it is difficult even for the radiologist to interpret a lateral view. This is one of the lateral view and this is the other lateral view. Here, if you see, we are interested in the F first. What is this F? It looks like it is a bony shadow. It is the margin of the scapula. What is the B? B is the shadow of the esophagus. And if you see the J, you can see there are soft tissue shadows, one above, the other one is below. Above one is the right diaphragm, right dome of diaphragm. And you can trace the right dome of diaphragm because you can trace the right dome of diaphragm beyond the heart. The lower shadow, you cannot trace beyond the heart because that is the left dome of diaphragm. The shadow gets marked with the cardiac shadow. You cannot trace further. You cannot trace it further. And these two are the black areas of the lung that you can see in the lateral view. And we are very much interested in seeing these two black areas because this is the retrosternal area. If some mass is here, like thymus or any other tumor is here, you can see anterior mediastinal mass will be seen here. You can see any retrocardiac consolidation, it will be opaque here. And you can see the claustrophrenic angles which are clear here. You can see also blunted if there are fluid in the chest. And in this shadow, you can see the structures we are interested. This is aortic arch. This is the end of the scapula, pulmonary artery, and left ventricle, left atrium, right ventricle, dome of the diaphragm of the right diaphragm, left diaphragm. You can see the right diaphragm can be traced much further, whereas the left dome of diaphragm gets merged with the cardiac shadow. On the lateral view, you can see in a proper penetration and during proper inspiration, if you go down, you will see there is inspiration that the spine appears to darken as you move caudally. So the spine gradually gets darkened as you move caudally. This is because the more air is there in the lower part of the lung, lower lobes of the lung, and there is a less musculature and fat in the lower part of the chest wall. Now, exposure has a very important role. Exposure has a very important role regarding proper interpretation of the X-ray. If it is underexposed, we will lose many of the information. If it is overexposed, then we are going to miss also many of the information. Like in this photograph, if you see, the resolution on the right, on the second photograph is less than the first photograph, and it is much more blurred and not giving as much information as the left-hand side photograph is. And even less resolution, we are tending to lose even more clarity and information regarding this photograph. The same holds true so far as the chest X-ray is concerned. What difference do you see in between these two X-rays? They look more or less similar, but if you look carefully, the left-hand side is a normally exposed X-ray, and the right-hand side, it is underexposed. How? Let us come to that. Again, in the center, if you see, it is a normally exposed or properly exposed X-ray. Left-hand side, it is an underexposed X-ray. Right-hand side, it is an overexposed X-ray. So how to determine whether the exposure is proper or not? So there are 4 things we should look. One is the vertebral body should be visible through the heart but not very clearly in a blurred way. But you should be able to see the vertebral bodies. Second, intervertebral bodies, all the discs should be seen, but barely visible. Not very distinctly, but they should be visible. You must be able to see the bronchovascular markings through the heart. And fourth, you should be able to see the diaphragm, which can be traced from the claustrophrenic angle to the spine. So if I go back to the first X-ray, in this X-ray, you can see the bronchovascular markings here. You can see the intervertebral discs. You can see the vertebral bodies, and you can trace the diaphragm from claustrophrenic angle to the spine. So this is a properly exposed film. But here, everything is wide through the heart. You cannot see the vertebral bodies. You cannot see the intervertebral disc. You cannot see the bronchovascular markings. So exposure makes a lot of difference. And first X-ray, this was a bit under-penetrated X-ray. This is the history, the findings, all are very characteristic of a bacterial infection. And indeed, this child was suffering from a pneumonia. And you can see there is a right upper lobe consolidation. But again, this consolidation, it is basically slightly hazy because this film is a bit under-penetrated film. You cannot see the vertebral bodies clearly, or you cannot see the intervertebral discs at all. Whereas in the second case, this is a child of 7 years presented with fever and chest pain. You can see the vertebral bodies very clearly. You can see the intervertebral discs very clearly. And this was purposefully done. It is slightly overexposed or over-penetrated film because we want to see the vertebral bodies here than the lung fields. And here you can see there are compression fracture of the vertebral bodies, and there are paravertebral abscess. So this is a purposefully done over-penetrated film to ascertain or to see the vertebral bodies more clearly. We are not interested in the lung fields at all in this film. So if you want to see the bony structure more, you have to penetrate more. If you are interested in the lung fields, then it should be a properly exposed film. Next comes, so far as the technical issues are concerned, it is a phase of respiration. So if ideally the X-ray should be taken in an expiratory phase. And phase of respiration makes a lot of difference. A patient can appear to have a very abnormal chest X-ray if the film is taken expiration, because there will be pulmonary plethora and the heart borders will be obscured. Like on the left-hand side, you can see this. It looks like there is a silhouetting of the right heart border and there is an opacity here. But as the X-ray was taken in inspiration, this is an expiratory view. As the X-ray has been taken in a proper inspiration, then you can see there is a clearing of that opacity. There is nothing in the right heart border. And in an exposed expiratory film, it is very, very, very difficult to comment. And if possible, we should not comment at all. Now, how to ascertain whether it is a proper inspiratory film or not? Inspiratory image, the one single thing will determine whether it is the film has been taken in proper inspiration or not, that the anterior end of the fifth rib should touch the middle point of the diaphragm. If it is so, 5 to 7 ribs, then it is depending on the age of the child, then it is the film has been taken in a proper inspiration. More so, there should be sufficient amount of air in the trachea. The trachea should not be collapsed, and the air is there in the main bronchus. So in the anterior end, 5th to 7th, or posterior rib 8 to 10 should be visible in a film which has been taken in a proper inspiration. And there is a tracheal collapse and the hemidiaphragm may not be visible because there will be a haziness because of in the expiratory film, there will be a plethora in the lung, and the hemidiaphragm may not be very clearly visible, and as in case of an inspiratory film. So that these pointers will tell you whether the film has been taken in proper inspiration or not. The same child taken, the film has been taken in expiration and taken in inspiration within an hour. It looks like there is a big heart. It looks like the child is suffering from congestive cardiac failure, plethoric lung field, large heart. But after half an hour or 1 hour, it is an inspiratory film clearing of everything. So it makes our decision very difficult if it is an expiratory film. It's the same demonstration of the same problem, expiratory and inspiratory film. Looks like there are a lot of issues are there in the chest, but in proper inspiration, it is everything has cleared. So sometimes we are interested in taking expiratory film purposefully. Whenever we think there can be an ear trapping, like in cases of foreign body, look, this is an inspiratory film and it is not giving a lot of information to us. There is a history of sudden cough and choking. But if you take an expiratory film, there is a ball valve mechanism, the air cannot go out, and you can see there is hyperlucency of the left lung because of the foreign body. Similarly, there is a trapped air here also in the expiratory film. So sometimes we use expiratory view purposefully to ascertain whether there is any trapped air or not. Then rotation. Rotation is a very important issue because rotation produces a lot of false images and a lot of biases. Like look at this photograph. What you see, a person is sitting, a person is running, and a person is hanging from a bar. Now, if I rotate this X-ray by 90 degrees on the left-hand side, it gives a right perspective. This man is lying with the legs on the wall. This man is also lying. This man is also lying. And see, this is the right perspective of the photograph where you can see the card is in the proper place. So rotation can distort the image, can give a false information. Similarly, see this photograph. A lady who is sad, not getting beer, like in lockdown, we are not getting any drinks. So this lady is very sad, but if you rotate the film, make upside down, then it is a beautiful young female who is smiling. So rotation makes a lot of difference. Now, what is the difference between these two X-rays? There are some differences. You see these two X-rays, and there are subtle differences. Whenever there is a rotation, if the rotation is the side the person is rotated, the mediastinal structures become more visible. Like here, you can see the mediastinal structure of both sides, but here, the right mediastinal structures are more visible. So rotation magnifies the site. Secondly, how to ascertain the rotation? There are three things which you can see. One, and what is most commonly used, distance of the clavicle from the midline or the vertebral bodies. It should be equidistant. The side it is rotated, the clavicle goes away. That means if the person is rotated to the right, then the clavicle goes away from the vertebral bodies. And the other side clavicle comes closer to the vertebral bodies. This is number one. Number two, that if you draw a midline, the distance between the costophrenic angles, that is R and L, they should be equal. And third, the anterior end of the ribs. That means the side the child is rotated. Here, you see the child is rotated to the left. The heart is almost engulfing the whole left side of the lungs. And here you see the anterior end of the ribs are much away from the vertebral body. And on the opposite side, the anterior end of the ribs are closer to the vertebral bodies. So this is going to happen if the child is rotated. Now, rotation makes a lot of false images. Like here on the right hand side, if you see, you can see there is a margin of the collapsed lung and it looks like there is a pneumothorax. But if you look very carefully, this child is basically a rotated child. This photograph has been, it is an adult photograph, and the person was grossly rotated while taking the X-ray. In this rotated film, the skin folds can be mistaken for a tension pneumothorax. You can see from the blue arrows. And notice the skewed position of the head of the clavicles. This is the head of the clavicle on the left-hand side, and this is the head of the clavicle on the right-hand side. And you can see the difference and the position regarding the midline. So rotation, the spine should be equidistant from the clavicles, but if the person is rotated, the side it is rotated, the clavicle moves away, and the other side's clavicle moves closer to the vertebra. So the first step is to the image quality mnemonic. The way you can remember, how you can remember the things to be seen when you are interpreting a chest X-ray. Some very common mnemonics are there, and one is your prim, penetration, rotation, inspiratory, and motion. But I prefer this mnemonic, PREV, that is phase of respiration, whether it is inspiratory or expiratory, whether there is any rotation, whether the exposure is correct or not, that is properly penetrated, under-penetrated, or over-penetrated, and what is the view? Is it a frontal view, that is AP or PA? Is it a lateral view, or this is a decubitus view? Now, coming almost the end of the presentation, two more things I will discuss today. If I get time, I will come to the other issues regarding interpretation of the chest X-ray, like what are the hidden areas, what is the volume loss, what is a complete whiteout, what is a more black lungs, what are the causes, what are the position of the lobes. It will be another presentation. If I get time, I will come to that later on. But before concluding this session, let me tell you, in the heart, the cardiothoracic ratio in children, and especially in neonate, can be maximum up to 60%. What is 50% in adults? And what is that? Is A plus B, that is A is this and B is this, A plus B divided by C should not exceed 60%. And of the heart, of the shadow of the heart, 1/3 is normally on the right-hand side of the vertebra and 2/3 is on the left-hand side of the vertebra. So if you see the heart more central, then the person is rotated to the right side, or the heart is pushed to the right side. If the heart is encompassing the whole left lung, then the person is left rotated or pushed to the left side. And what makes the heart border? This is the structure of the heart and the mediastinal structure, the great vessels. And the right heart border is basically formed by right atrium and small part by the superior vena cava. Whereas in the left side, or the left heart border is formed by the aortic arch, then pulmonary artery or pulmonary bay, then the left atrium, and then the left ventricle. So in the right hand side, if there is any bulge, then it is a dilatation of the right atrium. And the upper part of the right border is formed by the superior vena cava. There are 5 types of radiographic densities that we normally see in an X-ray. The most black is the ear. If you see the most black area, that is the ear. So that is a lung tissue. Then slightly lighter or grayish black is a fat. And like this is a fat. This is slightly lesser dark than the completely aerated lungs. So from complete darkness to grayish black is a fat. Then the soft tissue, that means the heart, the diaphragm, is lesser black, or it is grayish. Then comes the bones, which is more or less white, but brightly white is any metal. So if you see something bright white, like here you can see, this is a prosthetic valve. This is something, a nail in the fractured humerus. So see these types of densities normally we can see when we are seeing a chest X-ray. One is your most dense, white is your metal, and the blackest thing is the air in the lung. So, see, look at the photographs, serial photographs carefully. So, when a child is suffering from a disease, a lung disease for a very long time, we always should inspect all the previous films, because subtle changes in serial radiograph can make a big difference. Comparison with the previous radiographs greatly increases the sensitivity, and better to see all the previous films than seeing the last previous film or the current film only, because your interpretation will be much more perfect if you see all the previous radiographs and CTs that you are having current at this point of time. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Hello. So just for the questions.
Is there any question?